Good morning everybody. It is Monday morning and it's pretty early. We've had daylight savings here that happened yesterday, so the clocks went back and it's sort of thrown me off a little bit with my timing. So I'm up ready for work, ready to go an hour before I need to be there. So I was kicking about, thinking about what to do, and I thought I'm going to make a video and perhaps look at, or not perhaps, I'm actually going to do it, look at an idea of something that I wanted to do a while ago and then just didn't. Anyone who's been watching my channel for a while might remember that I started, or tried to start out doing a tarot series, and I think I only did one card in the end and ended up making a two-part video about one card, saying way too much. I got very flustered because of the timing. I was thinking I was running out of time because that was back when my channel was still restricted for the amount of time that I could spend on the channel, and it just didn't work, so I gave up on it. But I did want to come back to it, so I thought I'm going to take this opportunity to maybe restart a little bit and do that. There's lots of really great people talking about tarot and stuff at the moment. Glammy Witch is always doing her oracle cards and cards of the day, for example, and of course the Four Queens, everyone who watches her channel, she knows so much about tarot. She certainly knows more than I do about tarot. And if you're interested in looking at sort of situations in which cards can play into situations and feed into them and why, then certainly go and check out her channel because she's got some amazing tarot videos. So this is going to be more basic because I'm not as advanced in my tarot knowledge, but I do enjoy tarot, have been doing it for quite a while, and I thought I'd just do a little introduction to the cards. So rather than go into each card in like half an hour's depth, I'm going to do it very briefly. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about the basic ideas around each card. I think it's good to share it. Every time I hear someone talking about tarot, no matter how basic or how knowledgeable they are, I feel like I learned something about the card, because everybody's perspective is slightly different, and that's one of the wonderful things about tarot. Is I don't think you can be wrong. You know, there's a general consensus and agreement about a lot of the cards, but yeah, not everybody has to absolutely agree on what they think the cards are about. So I'm going to start off with the Suit of Swords. Got my tarot stick here, which is unfortunately very wobbly. I'm just going to try. Oh no, it's too close to the camera as well. If I was holding it in my hands, I would probably end up just waving it around. Oh, never mind. This is professional, isn't it? Another professional moment for me. Two of Swords. Sorry that she is a little bit out of focus, but there you go. So when I look at these swords in general, we look at a deck, a suit in the deck that is often to do with thought, with air. It's associated with air, with mental processes and strengths. Also, often these swords are associated with conflict and difficult situations, and looking at opportunities for growth in how we choose to handle conflict in our lives and conflict situations, whether this conflict is coming from within ourselves, whether it's conflict with the world or with other people in general. And some of the swords cards can look pretty alarming. This one doesn't look too alarming. What you're looking at here with this card is a lady who is balancing two swords with open water at her back, who is blindfolded. I think that looking at the picture is the most important thing to do, and thinking about what that means to you. Like when you look at that person in that situation, what's your immediate reaction? Because that is often the key to finding what the meaning of a card is for you. So I look here and I'm looking at somebody who is feeling very defensive. They've got their arms crossed over their chest. It's a very defensive posture. They're keeping their emotions inside, they're keeping their emotions hidden, or they're not communicating very much. They're holding back, they're very much withdrawing, and they've got a barrier up between themselves and the world. At the same time, their back is completely open to the water, and water often represents emotion in the tarot deck, and you can see quite a large body of water. It's a little bit ripply, it's not a huge crashing storm, but there's disquiet, emotional disquiet going on in the background. So we've got someone who's very defensive, who is hiding themselves, or who is holding back and keeping things, playing things very close to their chest in one respect, and yet personally on the inside they feel very, very vulnerable. Emotionally very vulnerable, because their back is just completely open to the world. You know, it's not a very good defense really, but it's not helping. I'm also looking at somebody who is in a situation where they are very much in a balancing act. This lady is holding the swords exactly the same angle. She's weighting them out very carefully, and nobody can hold big heavy swords like that forever. Eventually one of them is going to drop, and this person is being faced with an opportunity to make the decision how they're going to move, and which sword they're going to keep hold of and which sword they're going to get let fall down. And unless they make that decision themselves, eventually they're going to fall of their own accord. So I think there's a sort of an urging in this card to look at situations in your life where you might be feeling vulnerable, or you might be feeling defensive, or perhaps you're trying to cope with a situation without sort of letting other people know and keeping it to yourself and coping by yourself in a situation which is not working out for you, and you need to take steps to deal with that and make a decision about what you want to do before that decision gets made for you. We're looking at somebody who's blindfolded. They literally either are unable to see because they're in a situation where they're coping so much that they can't think about other people's opinions and they can't think about anything outside the situation. Their entire focus is just on that one situation. Or it can also mean that somebody actually needs to block out what's happening around them, needs to stop all the voices from people's opinions and actually look inside and make the decision from within. And depending what the cards are and the situation around it will let you know more about which of those is most true for this situation. It can be something as extreme as somebody being in an abusive relationship when all you can do is cope day to day, is just struggle, is try to balance, is try to keep yourself defended, try to keep quiet, hide it from everybody no matter how vulnerable you feel, and being afraid to move, treading on eggshells because one wrong word, one wrong movement could mean there's another kind of angry reaction and another explosion. And the fact that you end up sort of blocking yourself out and blocking even your own common sense because you're afraid to move out of the situation, you've become in a mechanism of just coping. It can also be somebody who is in a situation where they don't want other people to know. Maybe you're responsible for other people, and so you're trying desperately to juggle and to manage a problem or a situation without letting people down or feeling like you're going to let them down. So you're trying to cope with it on your own, and that is a very heavy burden. It becomes a very heavy weight, and it's difficult to do that. You might also be in a situation here where you have too much from other people. People might be pushing you and pressuring you and trying to get you to do one thing or get you to do another, or to go in one direction or to go in another direction. And that's making you retreat because you need to make the decision yourself. So you need to block them out and you need to really carefully weigh up your options and make your own decision based on how you feel intuitively and what you think is the right thing for you. I think a small thing that's important to notice as well here is that there's actually a waxing moon. So this is a situation that is going to increase in size. It's going to inflate in size as time goes on because, as I said before, nobody can hold their swords like this forever. Alright, next card is the Three of Swords. Now the Three of Swords is one of those cards that genuinely does look quite alarming. It can be quite frightening for people to see this come up in a spread, especially if they don't really understand what it means. I do think that this card generally is a bit of a negative card. And when I say negative, I mean that you're usually looking at a situation that is going to cause some kind of stress, some kind of emotional pain, some kind of difficulty. There is going to be some sort of trauma coming up ahead, whether that relates to personal life, whether it relates to kind of your inner space, whether that relates to relationships, or finance, etc. You will know from the cards that surround it in a spread. But we're looking at something that's going to be a conflict situation that's going to be difficult. We're looking at something that's going to be emotionally quite painful in some way or the other. Now, we all have to go through emotionally painful situations in life. We all have to deal with difficult things. We have to do things that are going to hurt us and might hurt other people, and we have to face up to these. There is no way to live your life without going through these situations, and the tarot deck will present cards that will cover every situation that you can go through in life. And these are situations that are not to be avoided. They're not to be kind of hidden. You're not supposed to hide from them, because we have to go through these things, because these are the things that make us stronger. These are things that make us understand who we are and what we want to do and to grow. So if you're looking at a difficult situation like you might be at this with this card, you must always try to look for the positive, for the way forwards, for the opportunity for growth that comes with the card. I often think of this as like a love so strong that it hurts. You know, you can love someone so much that it's almost painful to do that, because there's so much emotion involved, there's so much emotional risk. And like with the Two of Swords, you know, we're looking at a card where people might be feeling vulnerable, and the vulnerability comes out in pain, and we have to go through difficult times and difficult situations. Looking at the rain in the background, so this is probably something that's going to kind of hit a bit like a storm. It's going to go quite quickly, there's going to be a lot of emotion involved, and it's going to hurt, but it's not the end of the world. It's not, your heart isn't going to be ripped up, you're not going to die of a heart attack or anything like that if you get this card. It's just saying that there's something that's difficult that has to be gone through. And it's important to go through these situations and find something constructive in them as you go through them. The last one I'm going to look at on this video is the Four of Swords. Try and put this one, there we go. So imagine a situation like the Three of Swords. You've just been through something that is, sorry, that's my alarm clock going off with static. You've just been through something that is painful or difficult or stressful. It's caused you emotional pain. It's caused some kind of trauma and difficulty in your life. And then the natural reaction, the natural progression from 3 to 4 along the deck would be to go into a situation where you need to seek sanctuary, where you need to rest, where you need to gather yourself together, where you need to just get over something difficult that's happened and really take stock. And this card very much does that, and it is about taking stock. It's about rest and repose. The figure is literally like one of those sort of busts that you see on a tomb where they make a stone figure of the person on top of the tomb. It doesn't mean death. What it means is that you are needing to take a break, to take some time just to gather yourself, to heal emotionally, or to kind of make yourself feel stronger. The challenge that comes in with this card is that you can't stay in this situation forever. If you look here, we've got the swords hanging down, it's hanging down across the person's solar plexus, across the throat, across the head. It could be emotional trauma, it can be a communication problem, it can be a mental trauma that's happened. And they're lying on top of a sword here as well. What it's indicating too is that you might need to take time out, and you might need rest, and you might need sanctuary, and you might need to get yourself together, and you might just take a break and take a step away from the world, take a step away from the big picture. But you have to realise at the same time that the problems don't go away. So you can take time out that you need to rest, to breathe, to regroup, to regather, and it's very good for you and it's very healthy to do that. However, if you become frozen in that place, you'll become increasingly unable to move and increasingly unable to get out of the situation. So taking rest is one thing, but putting your head in the sand or refusing to move or being too frightened or too kind of traumatized to actually start to move forwards and to change anything about the situation is going to be detrimental, because you can take a break, but none of the problems, and the swords here like representing problems and conflict, they're still hanging over you. They haven't gone away. So this is about taking rest, taking repose, taking time out, but having the wisdom not to spend too much time like that, not to become frozen into place, not to literally turn to stone. So it relates back to the Two of Swords, that balancing act. You have to strike a balance. And I think that a lot of the meanings behind these 3 cards is literally about striking a balance. You know, having the courage to go through difficult things and to go through emotionally difficult things. Because when you make decisions, when you let a sword drop, when you finally move out of this situation where you felt defensive and vulnerable, you're probably going to go through something hard. You're probably going to go through something that is difficult and it's a challenge, and it can be quite painful to go through. And it's important when you do that to take the time that you need, to take some time out, to take a breather, to take stock and to take care of yourself. But remember that the problems and the conflicts in the situation don't go away until they're resolved. So taking time out is one thing, but don't take too long, and make sure that you can get up, get back on the horse and start to work on your problems. I hope that's made some sense, and that you've enjoyed this very brief little chat about the 3 cards. If anybody would like to do like a video response and talk about their basic ideas about these cards, that'd be fantastic, because it'd be lovely to hear other opinions. Every time you hear someone talking about tarot, I think pretty much you're going to get a fresh perspective and you'll see yet another layer of meaning. It's wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go and have another cup of coffee, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you soon. Bye.